Welcome to Syncreate, a show where we explore the intersections between creativity, psychology, and spirituality. We believe everyone has the capacity to create. Our goal is to demystify the process and expand the boundaries of what it means to be creative. We talk with visionaries and change makers and everyday creatives working in a wide range of fields and mediums, from arts to science, technology, and business. We aim to illuminate the creative process from imagination to innovation and everything in between. I'm Melinda Rothaus, and I help individuals and organizations bring their creative dreams and visions to life. At Syncreate, we're here to support your creative endeavors. If you have an idea for a project or a new venture and you're not quite sure how to get it off the ground, reach out to us at syncreate.org. Our book, also called Syncreate, walks you through the stages of the creative process so you can take action on your creative goals. We also offer resources, creative process tools, and coaching to help you bring your work to the world. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I am really happy to be here today virtually with Michael Steiner, who is the executive director of Best Robotics and also the co-founder of consulting firm Your Global Strategy. So really excited to be here with you. And so Best Robotics is a program that is aimed at helping kids use their STEM skills essentially to address real-world problems. And I was excited when you and I connected, Michael, recently at the Creativity Conference at Southern Oregon University. And we've had a few conversations leading up to this. So tell us a little bit more kind of broad overview of, how does the Best Robotics program work and how is it related to creativity?
So it's a wonderful question, Melinda. Best Robotics was formed as a STEM program, addressing the STEM skills, the challenge we have globally, but mostly in the US. It was formed 32 years by Texas Instruments engineers, and it still is a flagship program of Texas Instruments.
Beautiful.
It functions in 19 states. And the flagship is really STEM, science, engineering, and mathematics. It expanded since it was formed, as you said, to be a problem solving. And I start smiling because as a follower, just like you, of Mark Runco, who you mentioned a minute ago, we both know that when you swim into the problem solving, you start tickling the mechanism of creativity.
Yes.
No matter where you are. So that happened to the goal of STEM. Once you add more and more problem solving in the brain, you get very close to creativity mechanism.
Yes. And I think that is so important because, one of the goals of this show is to really demystify creativity, including some of these misconceptions like creativity is only for artists. But we know in order to address, problems in any field, including medicine, mathematics, science, we need those creative problem-solving skills, right?
Yes. So when I was on the board as a board member 6 years ago, coming from my international background as Your Global Strategy and having international projects closing the skills gap, yet being a many years follower of Runco's researchers, I started looking at the measurables and deliverables of BEST. Remember, as a board member, and then I looked at the data in front of me and I said, oh my God, this isn't STEM. These are the achievables, the deliverables that Mark Runko in his research outlines. This is creativity mechanism. It isn't just STEM. And
Right.
started pulling my short hair off my head, and I said, "Oh my God, does the board really know that they are
Right.
achieving beyond STEM?" We went through a strategic evaluation of ourselves. We brought Mark, we brought others, and we realized that we really aren't doing just STEM.
Mhm.
We did a blue ocean strategic transition. We changed where the ship is heading.
Yeah.
We now are speaking mostly about creativity and not just STEM. The
Yes.
deliverables and measurables do not cheat. They show you what you really do.
Yes. And again, I don't think it needs to be either or,
No, it
right?
isn't.
Because to solve complex real world problems, you need both the skill sets of STEM and the creative problem solving
So that
abilities.
is the nutshell, and I'm so happy you started with it because why wait for the end of the show?
Right, to find out what this is
lift
about.
to lift the curtain. You're starting with such a wonderful way of creative, eh, which is right there. So
That's
the op-
great.
we know the hero and the heroine kiss and they get married.
That's right.
It's not Romeo and Juliet this way, so they do get married at the end, and so it's a beautiful ending. He discovered, and I give tons of credit to Mark Runko, his contribution. Both of us know he's an amazing person.
Yes, a
He wants the world,
pioneering creativity researcher.
yeah,
Yes.
he wants the world to know that creativity is a small c. It belongs to everyone,
Yes.
and he's a humble guy also. And
Mhm.
so, all of us who follow his work do discover that it belongs to many and not just to few. And when we get to my journey, it really is a similar story. So you, it's your show, and so I and
Yes.
each of you are wonderful. We started in a wonderful way.
Yes, and I
Great.
wanted I want to draw attention. So we were talking just before we started about your backdrop there, which actually shows Best Robotics in action. So tell us what's happening in that scene.
So this is one of many, almost 1,000 teams participate around the country. So I most of the time when I participate, I do not participate. I view and I cry very often when I see what these amazing young people are able to achieve. So I noticed a team that right before they go and participate, they hugged the robot that they created, they fabricated, they built it. And when they prayed for the success of the robot, they prayed together with the robot right at the center of this picture. So I jumped with the camera and I took the picture because it's understandable that they pray, but they pray for it, he, she, success of their robot, and they include the robot in their prayer. So in an era of AI, the robot is very human for them.
Mhm.
I say when I speak to my mother and she compliments or says something, I said, but I came from you. I use that example because the robot came from them. It's their birth child.
Yes.
They really relate to it in a human way, not as a technology. It's a creative. Mark doesn't speak about creativity. He speaks about creative.
Mhm.
Give the world their creative. So they pray together with their creative. Mm, I think it also explains what really is creativity. It's not it's not something, maybe the word mechanism isn't exact. It's something that evolves in us,
It's a
in them.
process.
It's a
It's
process. You
personal.
teach it. So you would explain it better than I do. It's deep. It's very deep,
Yes.
very personal. And when you do it together with others, it's even of different magnitude. It's greater.
Yes. So in Best Robotics, in the yearly competition, you have teams of students, right, working together to address some specific real world problems. So, what are some examples of what the competition has been in prior years?
So I'll answer you in a second. One thing that our audience needs to understand is that each year we scratch it,
Uh-huh.
bring it to zero, and
Yep.
we recreate the program from scratch.
Okay.
Reason is because we don't want their brain and our brain to get used to something.
Uh-huh.
One year we will do, to answer your question, a program which is on the supply chain.
Okay.
There's crisis in the world to find parts, to
Yes.
manufacture. So the problem is, how do you manufacture in a different way that addresses the supply chain
Mm-hmm.
challenges? How do you manufacture in the same space much, much more, where there's much more technology that is much more effective, produces more with the same amount of parts, yet is quadrupled in its ability? How do you do that? How do you design it? How do you manufacture it? How do you operate it? What does it mean? What's the strategic behind it? How do you operate it? What's hidden in it? And how do people work with it? All of that is in front of them, built. They need to rebuild it, to design a robot, to build the robot, to see what are some of the issues that the robot, each team designed, to
Mm-hmm.
each team approached it completely different. Although the challenge is the same, or the challenges are the same, each team, for whatever reason, came to completely different conclusions.
Yes, which is fascinating because with the creative process, you have a problem or a challenge that you're dealing with, and there's not one right way to solve it or to address it, right?
Yes.
And so, kind of by starting from scratch each time and giving the teams a common problem to solve, but letting them go about it in different ways, you may end up with very different
Yes. So
solutions.
if a person has a light fever, they may seek Tylenol or whatever, and
Yes.
all is the same Tylenol.
Mhm.
Yet, in a reality of life, when we have all around us challenges, mostly those that we created,
Mhm.
addressing them, living side by side with them, the Tylenols or Aleve or whatever are ones that we need to design, to build, and they constantly change, and they're not the same. They
Yes.
shift shape or shape shift constantly. I think digesting that is something which leads those to those skills of the future, and also realizing that they are not the same, neither the problems nor the solutions. I think
Mhm.
that's one example. To give you just a different example,
Yes, please.
we last year brought to their attention that humans, like them,
Mhm.
have issues internally.
Yes.
They know it, but we built in front of them a human with 9 different challenges in the shoulders, in the brain, in the arteries, and so on and so on. 9. And we said, we would like you as a team to, to conduct 9 surgeries within 3 minutes.
Wow.
Now, when they approached it, they realized that there is something which is called minimally invasive surgery,
Yes.
not require cutting, but
Mhm.
entering the human. They also realized that to do 9 of these requires making decisions.
Yes.
So first of all, they need to understand what is minimally invasive surgery.
Mhm.
So they cannot do all 9. Which ones? The brain, the heart, the shoulders, the arteries. What is the device which you and I know it's called Da Vinci?
Mhm.
What they need to design it, they need to build it. The last piece of it before it takes the entire conversation is you will learn that in order to answer some of these questions, it's not Wikipedia. Wikipedia is wonderful,
Right.
but learning these issues, they need to call a hospital.
Hmm.
They may that if they call a hospital, they will be answered no. The reality is that if they call a hospital, the hospital will say, please come. Because in real life, by saying to them, please come, the hospitals invest in them becoming future nurses and future
Yes.
doctors.
Yes.
So, in all of these seasons, when they call the hospital, Boeing, the airport, the Air Force, wherever they call, for whatever reason, people say to them, come.
Mm.
One lesson we want them to learn is that when you call, the world says to you, come,
Yes.
learn from us. That's part of our hidden agenda. If you call, they will call you.
Yes. It's
They will
so important to reach out for the
yeah,
resources.
to reach out, not the smartphone, to reach out the world.
Yes. Yes. I love that. So I know that we had a very rich conversation, when we were first talking about doing this show about kind of your own journey to creativity and, kind of how you came to be so interested in creative problem solving. And I know the consulting work you do focuses on that as well. So tell us a little bit more about, how you got so interested in creativity.
So it's funny and it's interesting. As I thought about our conversation before I answer you, I asked myself, I didn't know that what I have is creativity.
Right.
And I asked myself, would I have wanted to know that I have creativity in me? And I think I did. I
Mm.
would want to know. When I share with you in a minute my journey, I would have wanted to know. I would have wanted to sit in classes where I and my mates would have been empowered, that
Yes.
have creativity from first grade. Why let all the others not discover it, left hanging? I thinking ahead of our conversation, I think it's a mistake.
It is. And unfortunately, most schools and school systems actually are antithetical to creativity, unfortunately.
What a major mistake.
Right.
So I knew from early childhood that when I take a book and I start reading, the words, the letters rise.
Mm.
So I was always, always with a book in my hand because it was my boarding pass.
Yes.
So I read Alice in Wonderland and I saw her path. I saw
Yes.
flowers. I heard the words. I saw the author. I saw everything. I didn't favor going to the cinema because I saw the movie through the words.
Yes.
Literally came up in the air, whether it was Lewis or it was Charles Dickens or Jules Verne, it didn't matter. Any book I took into my hands, the words came up alive. So I discovered, and I took books to school. Every
Mhm.
I had, I opened the book and I read. I didn't know it was creativity because I didn't know the word. I didn't even know it was imagination. In later years in school, still in elementary school, I sat next to the window. Teachers didn't disturb me. They didn't.
Now you're
They
looking out the window.
in years, yes, it was going on. They didn't suspect something was wrong, but there was a home teacher who kept her wing above and didn't disturb. She knew
Uh-huh.
through the window and I was somewhere in the world, and she knew I'll come back. When
Mm-hmm.
she asked me where was I, and so I said I was in France, I was in Alba Island, this country. And she asked, "What did you learn?" And I always connected it to what was studied.
That's beautiful. And what a wonderful, skillful way as the teacher.
I was lucky. I was so
Yes.
that nobody punished me, sent me to the principal.
Right.
I give immense credit to the system for not outcasting me, for being part of the time away,
Away.
away, daydreaming, letting the alpha waves uh,
Yes.
come into action, allowing me to travel because I wasn't allowed to read, obviously.
Right.
La-
And we
Later,
know that daydreaming is an important component of creativity, right?
of course,
Yes.
and I needed it. I had to come to it very often because it was my oxygen. I couldn't last a whole day without traveling. That's why the books, that's why the daydreaming, it really is for those of us who have it in such um, an extreme way, or I failed because later in life I knew that there's other manifestation of it in me, the overexcitabilities of Dombrovsky. I knew that I smell stronger, I hear stronger,
Mm.
excited. So I knew that it manifests itself in other way. I also
Mhm.
the IQ. So the other pieces of the puzzle came into. I became more aware because I
Mhm.
became also older. But again, the system didn't bother me. Uh,
Yes.
s- when I became a high school student, I started acting on it. So I was holding the horse reins in,
Uh-huh.
and also my schoolmates took advantage
Yes.
of it, and I enjoyed it. They used it. So
Yes.
when we were supposed to have a test, the student said, "Steiner, use it." And so I would raise my hand. I would ask a question that was from the other side of the globe, and no teacher could resist it because I knew how to use it. I knew
Mhm.
to use creativity in ways were they legitimate or not legitimate. It didn't matter because it was creative, and the class and the school enjoyed it.
Yeah,
And
so that makes me wonder, was there like an aha light bulb moment when you actually realized that this was creativity at work?
I, to be honest, I didn't think whether it was creativity. I think, to be completely honest, I was more possessed by the idea that it's making me popular in class. Remember,
Okay,
I
right.
was a young teenager in pre-puberty, over puberty, a
Uh-huh.
class of boys and girls, and suddenly I had a powerhouse
Yes.
that can do something that others are not. For whatever reason, they're not
Right.
doing it, and I can suddenly pull something from God knows what planet, and
Mhm.
teachers are responding to it, guest teachers, principals, and I don't know to explain it. Then, so I used it.
Mhm.
Use it to do anything completely wrong or semi-criminal? Of course not. I didn't know how. So
Right.
I didn't think of it. So it was contained in the world of learning,
Yes.
and it was fun. Later, I of course, when I started dating, I discovered that you can also use it in a relationship,
Mhm.
make a girl giggle and to be more popular. But again, it was in discovering how the world works with creativity.
Yes.
Still didn't know what it was. This is why I said before, I wish somebody somebody told us
Yes.
that first of all, I wouldn't be isolated
Mm-hmm.
in a negative way, so that it wouldn't be just one person. I'm sure that had it been taught, all the others would have been discovering it
Right.
as
They
well.
could have been acting on their own creative potential, right?
There's no question about it. It isn't a gift of an individual. It's a trained skill.
Yes.
Go back to best.
Yes.
Tens of thousands of kids from all walks of life are using it.
Yes.
They are doing what I did 50 years ago, and in scale that is unbelievable.
Yes, beautiful. So I'm curious, coming back to best, thank you for kind of bringing us back there. So, are there any particular stories that come to mind of, particular competitions or solutions, or maybe students who went on from participating in best to do, great things in the world?
I think there are quite a few. I think that the stories that touch me are the stories of where I don't want to call it biases. I think the stories that touch me are stories of maybe the unexplained childhood meeting the adulthood in me, because
Mm-hmm.
this is in every one of us,
Mm-hmm.
where little Michael and the older Michael are still speaking.
Yes.
And one of them is seeing in 2019, at my first year as an executive, a fifth grade girl in a rural community becoming a sixth grader, very young, probably pre-puberty,
Mhm.
just I was then, and she's leading a team of sixth graders to 12 graders. She's leading them, and she's mastering skills of electronic simulators, autonomous sensors at her age, and she's manifesting creativity, which blew my mind.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yes, and she did it once, twice, 10 times, 15 times, and I couldn't fathom it. I started crying. I think that when I think about it now, especially in our somewhat therapy conversation that you have with me, I think I was thrown back many years
Yes.
reflecting on what
Mhm.
to that child then and now.
Yeah.
The explained skills of maturity that are in a body of a child, that creativity,
Yes.
that are requiring such maturity and yet exist in a child.
Yes, and it strikes me that the competition gives young people an opportunity to exercise not only these technical skills, but the leadership skills and the interpersonal teamwork, collaboration skills that they might not have otherwise had a chance to bring that forward, right?
It's like, I owe you a hug, Melinda. Look, you see, I do, because you resolved the riddle. I sat down, I published an article about it with the title, How Dare a Fifth Grade Going into Sixth Grade Young Woman Manifest Just Such an Amazing
Yeah.
set of creative skills? Where God is it coming from?
Yes.
And I think you resolved it, because the program is almost raising it. It's raising it. She continued. She did it again a year later in a different way, and again a year later. She is now in 12th grade, 11th
Uh-huh.
or 12th grade. She is still a rising star, but instead of losing it, kind of a fluke, because she continues in the program,
Yeah.
these creative skills in her are instilled. They're in her. She owns it.
Yes. Yes, and who knows what she may go on to do in the future.
Yes.
Yes, that's amazing.
She made me cry because it's you realize how gifted people are.
Yes.
It's just incredible. It's just that I couldn't fathom it as being in her age. I just had fun. It's like a magic toolbox,
Yeah,
and you enjoy playing with it.
sure.
Why not? And suddenly, when you see yourself in a girl,
Mhm.
you realize
Yes.
what's going on in others,
Yes.
the gift it is that others have it.
Absolutely. So, I'm
Full of life. It is
yeah.
life.
I'm curious. So, how do students get involved with the competition? Like, how do you work with schools and with groups of students to kind of recruit and bring them into the
An
fold?
amazing question. There's two sides to it. The one side is that the school has to register. The
Okay.
program is free, completely free. The
Okay.
vision of Texas Instrument was, in a wise vision, is that if it's not free, if it will cost even $5, it
Mm-hmm.
will divide the country between
Yes.
those
That is
$5 or $5,000
so
and those
important.
no. Yes. Not being born here, I wouldn't even know how divided the country is between those who have and those who do not have.
Mm-hmm.
So they put into writing the vision that it must stay free. So the
Yes.
school registers and says, we are part of the program. From that moment on, it is up to the students to decide. The program is so demanding, so complex.
Mm-hmm.
Students must say, I'd like to be part of it.
Okay. So there's a
The,
self-selection element.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And rightly so. If Aubrey, that young lady I described, if
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey say, I'd like to be part of it,
Mm-hmm.
the principal or the teacher cannot say, Aubrey, you must
Right.
participate because it wouldn't be appropriate. It's 8 weeks of grueling
Yeah.
commitment from
Yeah.
her side. And for some of them, it's 8 weeks plus more because if her team succeeds because of her,
Mm-hmm.
go for another round with only those who succeeded. So it
Okay.
has to be a self selection that they say, we as a team want to be part of it.
Yes, beautiful. And so I know that this year's competition is ramping up. It kind of coincides with the school year calendar. So tell us, I know you have some events coming up, including here in Austin where I am. And so what's the theme for this year and what's happening?
The theme of this year is going to be advertised is gravity. But
Okay.
the gravity, as we share with them, is really around what Einstein and his teacher Minkowski said: figure out the center of gravity, or figure out what gravity means. But what they don't know, and we are not going to share it before the beginning or the end of August or the beginning of September, but it really is more than just gravity and
Hmm.
center of gravity. They will discover when you post the interview, they will discover that as astronauts, they are being sent to a station on the moon where others left the station with challenges, with problems that they didn't fix,
Okay.
just that are stuck
Right now.
right now.
Yes.
So they are going to fix of challenges that
Y-
other, just as all the seasons before, there are challenges that other humans caused. And some of these challenges, and I'll be careful not to share everything, some of these challenges are the basic one is the issue of really gravity. Is
Mhm.
they are going to design a robot for the first time, vehicle that carries them. So typically the robot needs to fix things. This
Yes.
robot needs to fix things, but also carry them to fix the things that they need to be involved in. The difficulty
Okay.
is that the gravity is not secured,
Uh-huh.
meaning the robot keeps changing its center of gravity, which they need to figure out who they need to go to understand what does it mean center of gravity in a transportation that keeps moving.
Yes.
People grapple with the thought.
Yeah.
How center of gravity in a vehicle moves. My father was an engineer in Volvo buses.
Okay.
It took me to see how centers of gravity cause buses to
Turn over.
turn over.
Yes.
Does it do to all the passengers?
Right. Not good.
And how if you change the height of
Uh-huh.
the bus,
Mhm.
the bus will flip.
Yep.
He showed me the accidents, all of this routine. So they will see how they design something and it flips.
Yeah.
So you may need to fix things in the station, but it flips.
Mhm.
And with it, you.
Yes.
So that's one issue of the gravity. Also, all the things they need to do, fixing batteries on the station, fixing antennas, communication in the station, things that they've never been exposed to in previous seasons, while the center of gravity keeps moving.
Yes.
One more challenge, which
Yes.
they would be tempted to. Again, remember, we are not sharing it before the season,
Right.
is that they have control on the issue of how much ambiguity on the center of gravity they want to tolerate.
Mm.
Less or more? Do
Mhm.
they want to deal with less ambiguity of center of gravity or more? It influences the results.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so this brings me to a question. Given the parameters of these different annual competitions, have the kids ever designed something that was completely innovative that hadn't been done before?
Again, an amazing question because in each of these years and seasons, they are required among the challenges, among these tasks that they are asked to design things, to produce things that many of them have not been done before.
Right.
The level of their interpretation changes among the tasks. So remember, there's a main theme, and then they have tasks to do.
Mhm.
Among these tasks, there are things that they have more leverage and less leverage. In
Mhm.
some, the leverage is almost completely theirs, and they can design it almost 100%, meaning their innovation, their creativity is complete. I'll give you
Mhm.
in a second, or it's less.
Mhm.
For example, there is a challenge which is called spirit and spirituality. How does the challenge of the year get expressed in an element called spirit and spirituality?
Mhm.
Design a mascot embodying the spirit and spirituality of their team.
Love that.
One of the teams in few years ago took the dance team of their school and asked the creative director of the dance team to design a choreography,
Okay.
especially for the theme of that year. They
Uh-huh.
wrote a dance company for the game day, and the dance company danced the premiere of the choreography.
That's
This this,
amazing.
this obviously is going almost insane.
But the
Special,
but the creativity is boundless, truly.
boundless.
Yeah.
They shot a video, which is another task, on the process of designing the choreography and how it expresses their creativity on the theme of the year.
Mhm.
This is where they can go leaps and bounds wherever they want. they are told at the beginning, interpret the way you feel.
Yeah.
Go as far as you want with your interpretations on any of the tasks. Every task they have is measured. We have deliverables and measurables. We talk
Mm-hmm.
beginning. So they are measured. It's not that things are elusive.
Mm-hmm.
Know what the measurables and deliverables are.
Yeah.
So it's not jungle.
Right.
But the fact that they can drive with their creativity as far as they want and that they allow themselves to do it is the biggest compliment to
Yes.
and to the program.
Yeah, and that's really beautiful because it strikes me, that it instills this idea, when we talk about creativity, we talk about thinking outside the box or whatever metaphors we might use, but when we go out into the world and we start working for a company or an organization or whatever it might be, we enter into a space with all these set parameters, and sometimes it can be very, very hard, as you were saying earlier, to change course, especially within a larger organization. But I think what this competition really does is help students and young people see that there are many possibilities available, even when we're told, well, this is the way it works, or this is how it's always been done, or whatever. To be truly creative and innovative in a professional context, let's say, you still have to be able to question that and go, well, is that really the only way to do it?
I think one of the things we see happening in it's a little. I think it started 32 years ago as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
When I speak about best, I personally say that I believe it continues to be a pilot
Yes.
because we keep learning things.
Sure.
One of them is that many of the graduates come to the conclusion that they need to study medicine and engineering
Mm-hmm.
because when they come to the conclusion that there's so much diversity, not one thing gives them in a litmus test to what life is a clear answer. And so, yes,
Yes.
they want to go to medical school, but they want to do medical school in the military so that they can get exposed to engineering and not just, or they want to do medical school plus they want to specialize in the MRI
Uh-huh.
because they believe the world is multifaceted.
Yes.
Therefore, one track isn't giving them what they want.
That's right. And different disciplines and fields inform each other. I'm so glad you said this because I was speaking at a conference recently of spine and neurosurgeons. And at the beginning of my talk, and they are developing medical devices, these incredibly innovative, things to treat spinal disorders. And I said, how many people here consider themselves creative? And only 3 people raised their hand.
Yes.
Because
So
they're not making that connection, right?
yeah. Let me give you an example which complements the company that sponsors us because they started that way 15 years ago, but demonstrates your point.
Mm-hmm.
The the issue of software engineering is a big enigma and it's a big issue in this era.
Mm-hmm.
Comes from machine learning and software engineering, but it's constantly discussed. Are we trying to get them to specialize in coding in software engineering or not? Is it soft skills, hard skills? There's a whole debate around it.
Sure.
So the company that leads us in this era, in this sphere, is called MathWorks. They're a world leader. They're a small but a boutique global company in math and in software engineering.
Okay.
They've been with us 15 years. So we thought, and they give 3 prestigious awards to 3 schools each year who are exceptionally talented, but they also train all the schools. They are supposed to be just for master's degree, PhD, and above, and yet here
Mm-hmm.
they are teaching middle schools and high schools.
Great.
Thought most of the students will specialize in Simulink and MATLAB, which is their tools.
Mm-hmm.
Measured in 2023, to look and see, because we measure everything, to look and see, is it that our students doing in software? We discovered that most of the students use 9 different softwares. Figure out what's going on. And when we went deeper, we came to the conclusion that the reason this is happening is because once you open the box, body of young, passionate, creative minds,
Yes.
want everything. They want the MathWorks opened the world of software to them. It's like the Michael of 50 years ago. They don't want one book. They want another book and another book and another book and another book. They want one software, another. They want C++. They want Python. They want Simulink. They want to try as much as possible. We were
Yes.
afraid of a lazy generations coming up. This is generations that want much more.
Yes.
Everything. This is why they want medicine and engineering. They want this and that and that and that.
And there's
We-
so many tools available, so why not? Yeah.
The issue for us to digest is that the workplaces for a generation like Z and Alpha can be siloed.
Yeah.
We cannot tell them, stay at your desk, stay at your department.
Right.
We have to break it.
Yes.
Give them access to accounting, to technology, to marketing, to development, to research, because their curiosity, their appetite, their ambition, not for themselves, to advance things, is so
Yes.
big that we will lose them if we don't open things and allow
Yes.
to do more, to accumulate more. They are gifted.
Yes. Okay, this is beautiful because we are getting toward the end of time, and I usually like to end each episode with what I call a creativity pro tip that people can take and kind of run with in their own life and work. And what I'm hearing you say, maybe a good pro tip for today is to go ahead and experiment and learn and gain skill and even expertise across domains, across different areas, across different technologies, and fields of knowledge, because that they're only going to inform and enhance one another.
I think you're reading it very, very well. The Michael, as a trainer, not as a child, as a trainer, used to train, among other things, Air Force pilots to do presentations. They had difficulties doing it. The
Yes.
kids at best swing presentations, do elevator pitch this way,
Yeah.
without citations,
Yeah.
on subjects that they've never learned.
Yeah.
They do it on viruses, they do it on airplanes, they do it on COVID, they do it on Da Vinci's, they do it as if they were born elevator pitches.
That's
They do it
amazing.
on printers, they do it on anything and everything. They were not born this way. They were given an opportunity.
Yes.
Swing domains.
Yes.
Don't pay attention to the word swing. Pay attention to what you said, Melinda, and that is, if we open the different domains in us to the younger generation, they will show us the abilities that they have. The experiential approach is exactly what you said.
And that's what we need to address the increasingly complex problems that we find ourselves dealing with. So beautiful. I think that is a great endpoint. I do want to just hear a little bit about, I know you have some kickoff events coming up, and if people want to learn more, how can they find you and find out about the competition?
So the kickoff is on the first weekend of September. Really, the first Saturday is the first kickoff in Grove City College here in Pennsylvania. And then there are in many, many locations throughout Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Texas, you mentioned Austin, and many in fact, 10 different locations in Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, and more Florida, and at many other locations.
Great.
It stretches all the way till the first and second weekends of December. The best places to find more information is to go to the Best Robotics site online and be in touch with you, and then you can refer them to me.
Yes, we'll put them in the show notes. Wonderful. Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure, and the time has flown by. So thank you so much for being with us, and good luck with this year's competition. I'll be following it. I can't wait to see what.
Go to the Austin branch.
Yes.
Find your center of gravity.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you. See you soon.
Yes. Find and connect with us on YouTube and social media under Syncreate, and we're on Patreon as well. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. We're recording today at Record ATX Studios in Austin, and the show is produced in collaboration with Mike Osborne at 14th Street Studios. Thanks so much for being with us, and see you next time.